Okay, I just wanted to make a quick video about recycling electric motors because it can be a little confusing at times, but just with some tips it's fairly easy to do. We'll start with our first example here. This is an old motor from a ceiling fan, I believe. And a lot of these motors, they're mostly steel or iron, like this top part here. It's all just steel. But then inside you have all the copper here pieces, but the rest of it's still just steel, so it's not worth a whole lot. And the biggest decision you have to make when you're scrapping electric motors is whether you want to just scrap it as a whole motor like this. You could just take it in with it in the casing, and they give you about 35 cents a pound for this. It fluctuates a little bit, but that's what they do. Or you can take it apart, and this would just be steel, so that'd be a little less. And you can actually go ahead and cut out all the copper, and that's worth quite a bit more. And there's also some aluminum in here, I think, too. But with this motor, I'll probably just recycle it, as a piece, because it's pretty heavy, so I'll probably get a couple dollars out of it just because all the weight on it. And the second example here, this is just another motor. So when you're recycling motors, I've noticed that scrap companies aren't too picky about having at least a little bit of extra metal attached to it. So if you just want to recycle this motor with this stuff attached to it, because it's pretty hard to get off, so I still want to spend the time to do it, but they'll still give you the 35-cent rate typically, and you can see the copper inside of it. Now this is actually part of a motor. I actually took some of the copper out of it and I just keep it in a ball, because this one, the copper was fairly easy to take out. So it's just kind of a judgment call on whether you want to take the copper out or not. This one was really easy to get it out, so I put it with this ball of copper I have right here. And another example, this is a motor that would be probably a little bit easier to get the copper off of because it's all exposed, so you can just clip it and tear it out. And since it actually has a lot of copper on it compared to the steel that's on it, so it's on both sides. So this one would probably be a good one to take all the copper out of and then just recycle the steel separately. So that's just the tip about that. And then the final thing I want to talk about motors is some of them are actually aluminum and they aren't copper. Especially garbage disposal motors, they actually are made out of aluminum typically, not all the time, but sometimes they're actually aluminum motors. As you can see, I scratched off some of the copper finish right here. And that's actually aluminum wire inside there. So this would be under a different category of aluminum motors instead of copper motors. But they're still worth a little bit, just not quite as much as the copper ones.